Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you are new, if you're not new, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miranda and today I'm doing another one of these videos where I talk about the books I read in April, and I'm very excited. I got a lot more done this past month than I did the last time I did one of these, which was back in March. I'm gonna try to actually make this consistent, but you guys know me in consistency. Sometimes it flops, sometimes it succeeds. I'm just gonna see how it goes, okay? Yeah, so I'm gonna try to make this intro as short as possible because I really have a lot of books. I didn't realize how many books I read until I counted them up while making notes for this video. Like it was long to the point where I needed to make notes. I read 12 books. I don't know really how I did that, considering my finals were like horrendous and that was stressful enough. By the way, finals week is over, so I'm officially free from school and I might actually post. A long time coming, I know. I'm gonna make it work though, I promise. It's gonna actually happen this time, I swear. I think I'm like free. I'm free from the education system for a good 4 months. And I can't wait to start posting. So yeah, just want to get that out of the way. And now let's get into the books. I read like 2 series this month and I started one more and a plus standalone. So it's really just a whole lot of, it's a lot. So I'm gonna just start off with the standalones. First book on my list I have Happily Ever Afters by Elise Bryant. Yeah, I love it. I love this book. Okay, so if you guys don't know what this book is, it is Elise Bryant's debut novel. So this is like her first novel ever, and I was like, whoa, you're talented. Like the woman can write. So it's like a contemporary modern novel, whatever. Tessa, the main character, she's so cute. Look at her. Yeah, Tessa, she gets into an art school, right, where she just gets to write all the time, and she's having a blast because she loves to write. But then when she gets there, she realizes that she has a writer's block. Like as soon as she gets into class, she realizes that she can't write to save her life. Her best friend suggests, why don't you just like live out a romance that you've always written about? So like she starts doing that, and it's kind of chaotic, it's kind of fun, kind of cute. I love this story so much. I don't know if that was a good description, but like I read this at the beginning of the month, so like my brain's kind of foggy. I'm gonna reread it, definitely. Like it's definitely rereadable. It's so freaking cute. I love Tessa so much, and I love the characters too. Like the characters that you meet in this book, for the most part, I didn't really dislike anyone. Well, I disliked one of them, but like when it comes to like the romance aspect of this book, it's really freaking cute. Like it's just like teenage happy romance. Of course there's like a love triangle in there because it's like her epic romance that she's always wanted to have, and somehow that sparks when she gets to the school and like in her new neighborhood. It's really cute. I would rate this a 5 out of 5 for sure. It's just so good. I could really relate to Tessa because the author makes it a note to like mention how she doesn't fit into like a certain crowd or anything like that. Like she loves to write. She feels like she's always been kind of like an outcast from how people really depict black stereotypes, and she feels like she doesn't fit into that mold. So she's always kind of felt like she didn't know where to blend in. I found myself in this girl a little bit, just like a little too much. It was kind of, I feel like the author took a deep dive into my life, and I don't really appreciate that. I write, I don't know if I mentioned that, I'm like majoring in journalism, so I also write. I've been writing literally my whole life. So when I read this, and I've also been writing in writing programs too, I was like, oh my god, she's like me. That's me, except like I don't have an epic romance or anything. But other than that, this, like, I felt like this girl was me. Like Tessa is like my soul sister, kind of, in a sense. The jokes are funny, the love interests are entertaining for the most part. Of course you're gonna like one more than the other because it's a love triangle, and that's kind of how it works. You pick a side. Like the one that I love, he's so like freaking adorable. I will give my heart to him. He's so cute. I would love to see this become a movie. Maybe if Netflix wants to pick it up, because I know that's all the boys movies are over. If you want to pick up a cute new rom-com with a black lead, Happily Ever Afters is the go-to for sure. I know that it's her debut novel, but I don't know if it's a standalone. From the way it ended, I would like a second one because it wasn't open-ended, but it also didn't feel like a conclusion of stories. I would love to see a sequel. I would also love to see a movie with budget. So yeah. Next book I have is another debut novel, The Black Kids. Okay, this one is pretty new too. I'm pretty sure both this and Happily Ever Afters came out within the past few months, so you can probably get it at Target. I got it at Target. I saw the cover and I was like, that looks interesting, and I also saw people talk about this a lot. Like I saw a lot of booktubers talk about it. I saw it like on Trender on Twitter at some point, people talking about this book, and I was like, oh my gosh, let me get into it, because from the synopsis I was already like, okay, I'm kind of interested. So this is by Christina Hammonds Reed, and it takes place in 1992 Los Angeles after the murder of Rodney King, a black man who was murdered by the police. And the events that happen in this book take place after that, and then like the trials that are going on regarding that case. Ashley Bennett is the main character, and she kind of lives a privileged life. Her parents are wealthy. She goes to a predominantly white school. She has grown up in like the better parts of Los Angeles. Like she's pretty well off. And so while these trials are happening, there's like a whole race war going on in Los Angeles. And then if you're aware of the history of what happened in LA during this time, you already know what it was like. And yeah, this is just her trying to figure out how she feels about it all, because since she has grown up around this like kind of demographic, she doesn't know exactly where she fits in at all. She kind of like stands off and like agrees with her white friends about their stereotypes towards black people and the stigmas they put on them, but also she has like her sister who's all about activism and fighting for the Black Lives Matter movement and everything before the Black Lives Matter movement was even a thing. She just feels like she's living like two lives, and she feels like because no one else can really relate to her, she's kind of by herself. When it comes to this main character, Ashley, you're not really supposed to root for her. She's not that good of a person. I don't know if you could tell by the description. She's not that good of a person, and you'll find that out really early on within the book, but I actually enjoy that. I love reading antagonist's point of view. Not that she's like a full antagonist, but like you're definitely not going to agree with some of her viewpoints in this book. This book is actually really excellent. I personally really enjoyed it, but it hit close to home really, like a lot. Like I started reading this around the time Dante Wright was murdered by the police, so it was really just eye-opening. Not really eye-opening, because I already like knew that these events have a huge impact on the way like black people are seeing it over time, like obviously, but it's just so crazy to see a story that is so somewhat relatable to times now. This takes place in 1992, and the stuff that's happening currently is still, nothing has really changed. Like reading about this as soon as that happened was kind of just like, it gave me chills throughout reading this book. I feel like with Ashley, I could relate on some level with her. I've always like grown up in a pretty like decent neighborhood. My parents are well off, my family is well off. I've lived in predominantly white towns and neighborhoods before, and it's just a place of knowing like where you lay in the hierarchy of society. Basically, as like a black teenage girl, you have to stick to not so basic black stereotypes, or else you will get stereotyped. You'll probably get stereotyped as soon as you walk into a room. Sometimes if you don't act black enough, they will call you an Oreo. If you do act black enough, then you're labeled as ghetto. Reading stories about teenage black girls is actually really fun, because I feel like I can easily relate to them like a lot. Like it's actually kind of scary. I don't know, just knowing that Ashley doesn't know much of herself and like how much she should show to people, because she feels like she's living a double life all the time. I feel like I got that a lot, and it was kind of just like like I was just like, ugh, my heart. So yeah, this gets a 4.5 out of 5 for me. It only gets a 4.5 because like Ashley's a lot to deal with. Like she's not easy to deal with. She's really not. You have to learn to love her, but I feel like it's all worth it in the end. By the end of this book, you might like her, you might not, but the story definitely should be read. Like if please read this. Next book I have is actually a part of a series, a whole series that I read. It is the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. If you guys know this series, I'm pretty sure most people do because I know it was popular on Book Talk for a while. Book Talk read it, and then a lot of booktubers started reading it because of Book Talk, and I watch booktubers. So when I saw like almost every booktuber talking about this and the other series I'm going to be talking about, I was like, okay, I'll read it. Yeah, I'll give in. If you guys don't know what Off Campus is, it's a series by Elle Kennedy. It's centered around hockey romance. So like a hockey team for a university, 4 players. Each of them have their own little romance novels, and they could be read as standalones. You don't have to read all 4 to understand what's going on. I read all 4 because I'm committed. I read it for the romance. I could care less about hockey. Gonna be honest. I'm pretty sure it's like a popular series. It's so popular that I think it's getting like its own little epilogue novel in September, where it centers around all 4 of the guys after college and their love interest in their books and what they're doing. So I might read that. It comes out in September, so yeah. So the first book in the series is The Deal. I would like to preface this by saying, before I get into it, the main reason why I read this series, why I started it, was because the first book was free on ebooks. So I was curious. I saw that the first book was like, it was literally free, so I was like, okay, let me just see. And then I got it, and then like I was obsessed. But then of course I think that's how they get you, because once you read the first book and it's free, the others cost money, and I had to get the other ones. So yeah, this one definitely, it hooks you in. The Deal centers around Hannah, who makes a deal with Garrett, the captain of the hockey team. He's also like the bad boy, but I didn't really get those vibes from him. I don't really know why that's in the summary, but anyway, the deal was, if she tutors him, he will pretend to go out with her so her crush will notice her. And yeah, you guys know how those always turn out. So it was cute, it was fun, it was funny. I really liked them together. It's all these books are duo POVs, so like if you're into that, great. If you're not, sorry. I feel like out of all the couples, their whole chemistry was very real from start to finish. I didn't feel like it was being forced, because usually with standalone novels like this, there's a lot you can like packed into one book, one standalone novel. When it comes to romance, and sometimes it flops, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes conflict comes out of nowhere and just like, why can't they just be happy? Why did you throw this in here? This makes no sense. I feel like with this book, it came really naturally to the writer, and also like for the characters, the overall story. I really enjoyed it. I gave this one a 4 out of 5, mainly because there were no trigger warnings in it. I will like bump down a rating of a book if it doesn't have trigger warnings, because I feel like those are important for audiences and readers to like, so like they will know beforehand. I don't think anything that's worth a trigger warning should be seen as spoiling a book. People should know beforehand. So I suggest before looking into any of these books, you go check the trigger warnings, because I wasn't ready for what I read for any of these characters. Like, it was a lot. So just an FYI. A few to name off the bat for this book specifically. It talked a lot about sexual assault and rape, so just a clear warning, okay? The next book is The Mistake. This centers around Logan, another player on the same hockey team. He has a chance to go out with a girl named Grace, and then he messed it up because he was being a guy, because it's typical, right? So after that, she wants nothing to do with him. Absolutely nothing. And this book is like him working his way up to like win her back. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 because I just couldn't see the chemistry with these two. I felt like this one was really forced and out of nowhere. Also, I couldn't really connect with the girl character all that well. It's mentioned in the beginning of the book that like she's really nervous and she talks a lot when she's nervous, and she's kind of like quiet and to herself, but then like after whatever happened between her and Logan happened, she's shifted and changed over the summer, and it seemed like I was reading about 2 different characters, but yet it was the same girl. Like, this is how she was last year, this is how she was this current year. I don't know, I would have loved to see how she got to this point, like point A to point B. I feel like I was literally reading 2 different characters. I didn't get to see her journey of just like having more confidence in herself. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Also, when it comes to Logan, I feel like he's a kind of a character. Like, I like him, he's really funny, but I couldn't get into it, and I feel like the ending was really rushed. Yeah, so I give it a 3 out of 5. Next, The score. Okay, this is my favorite if you can already tell. So this story is centered around Allie, aka the best friend of Hannah from The Deal. So like I said, the stories connect, but you can read them as standalones if you want. Hannah hooks up with Dean, a player on the hockey team, of course. She does this after breaking up with her ex, and then she is willing to move on from it and just focus on school and her life. Like, she's not bothered with Dean. She really does not care. Meanwhile, Dean, the rich, handsome, smart womanizer that he is, he's hooked on Allie, and this isn't normal for him because he's a womanizer and he usually goes from woman to woman to woman. Most of the hockey players do. Like, I noticed that they're all kind of like F-boyish, but like with Dean, it's like, it's a lot. So yeah, he's like, oh my god, I can't stay away from you, and Allie's just like, leave me alone. And then like something develops over time. Okay, so I gave this a 4 out of 5. I liked it a lot. I love their dynamic so much. I've reread this book at least 3 times. It's bad. Like, it was bad for me. I was in the trenches. It was I was down horrendous, guys. I still am. I really love them together. Also, Dean as a character, that's a man. That's a man. I'm sorry. What a man Dean De Laurentiis is. Whew. Yeah, I love Dean. I love Allie as a character too. She's really self-assured. Like, I feel like she's one of the few girls in this series that actually like has her shit together, and I really appreciate that. Like, she knows what she wants and she goes and gets it. Like, she just focused on her acting career, just wants to get out of school and do her thing, and then here comes Dean. It's kind of like the bad boy good girl relationship, but I wouldn't even label Dean as a bad boy either, despite the fact that like he has that reputation. I don't think he is. Maybe I'm wrong though. I don't know. Again, no trigger warnings at the beginning of this book either, and I feel like this book specifically should have a lot of trigger warnings. Like, it deals with a lot of stuff, mental health, depression, drug usage, death. Like, it has a lot, so check the trigger warnings. I'm telling you right now. So I bumped the rating down to 4 out of 5, but if it had trigger warnings, I would definitely give this book a 5 out of 5 for sure. Last book in the off-campus series is The Goal. Okay, so The Goal takes place during the score, so like you'll notice how some events overlap. If you read the whole entire series, you'll notice that like some events in The Goal you'll see in the score, and some events in the score you'll see in The Goal. Tucker is the main character in this, of course, another player on the hockey team. He falls in love with this girl Sabrina at first sight. Now, Sabrina is a character we kind of get introduced to in the score because, like I said, they overlap a lot, but I didn't really know much about her because, like, obviously I don't think we're supposed to be introduced to her like so early on as a character, but like the cameos throughout the story are nice because it actually leads you up to know more about the characters before you actually get to their story in a way. So Sabrina's on the path of law school. She's has her goals straight ahead. Like, she's not waiting for anyone. She's working like 50 jobs trying to get her life together, do her classes, and then she hooks up with guys on the side. And I can only respect the hustle, you know? Eventually Tucker and her meet at a bar, they hook up, and then she gets pregnant. And so they figure out how to be parents during this unexpected time, and then Tucker also finds a way to get her to be with him. Because she thinks that he wants to be with her out of necessity and not because like he was in love with her literally at first sight, because she doesn't believe in that. But when it comes to this book, I was hesitant to start it because I've never been a fan of like romance based off of like accidental pregnancy. Like, that trope, would you call that a trope? I don't know. Like, that trope hasn't really interested me. Also, when it comes to Tucker as a character, I was never interested in him. Every time he was like in another book in the series, I was like, oh, okay, cool. But like, he never did anything for me because he was so quiet. That's the thing, it's always the quiet characters, right? You wouldn't expect the quiet characters to be the way they are in real life, but like Tucker, the way he is in this book, is my second favorite after Dean. He's so hot. Like, oh my god, what, that's a man too. Tucker is a man. I kept on reading that he had a country accent though, and I had to like get that out of my head because some of the stuff he said was so like yeehaw-ish that I just couldn't do it anymore. He's, man, ooh, he went from being my least favorite to my second, I think. But the book overall, it's a 4 out of 5, just because like I said, I'm not a big fan of like the whole like accidental pregnancy trope, but I feel like the book did it well, kind of. And I like him and Sabrina's dynamic a lot. They were like friends, and then they were like lovers, and then they were like kind of in a relationship but kind of not. It was like it was a lot. It was a lot in one novel, and I'm pretty sure this is the longest one out of all of them. If I were to rank all the books in the off-campus series, it'd probably go The Score, The Deal, The Goal, and then The Mistake. I started reading the spin-off series of this too, but like that's not gonna be in this video. It's just a heads up. Like I started reading the spin-off series too. The spin-off series is called Briar U. This is the university that they go to, so the spin-off series is called Briar U. And actually, the first book I'm reading is actually about the guy who we see a lot throughout all 4 books, but we don't know anything about. And I was interested in him the most, but then he didn't get his own book in this series. So I was like, okay, I have to read this. And the love interest in this is Dean's sister. So I'm actually really excited. I'll talk about that probably next month because I got halfway through and then I stopped. But just a heads up, like, I'm enjoying it so far. Next book series I'm gonna be talking about, y'all already know the deal, y'all know by the title. Miss Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses. Yeah, I read it. I'm here. Y'all are gonna have to accept me into the ACOTAR fandom. I'm here, I'm present, I'm prepared to talk about this damn series that everyone is in love with. When I mean everyone, I mean Book Talk. Book Talk is in love with this damn series. I have seen so many freaking book talks, not even just like on, I don't have TikTok, but I see them all the time on my Twitter. So I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll read the series. I read it. And I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm not gonna give all of those in this video because then it'll be like a bajillion hours long. I might save a whole video for this. If you saw my reading vlog for A Court of Wings and Ruin, you know I was reading this, you know what I'm about to get into. So A Court of Thorns and Roses, if you guys don't know, a story by Sarah J. Maas, my first Sarah J. Maas journey actually. I've never read a book by this woman. I know that there are a lot of like mixed feelings about her writing and her books overall. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I didn't think it was that bad. A lot of people have a lot of bad things to say, a lot of good things. I'm kind of like somewhere in the middle where I'm just like, I could have gone my whole life without reading this, but I'm not mad that I did. So there's that. If you guys don't know what this book is, it is a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Very loose. The first book is, at least. The first book is a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It takes place in like a fairy land, a Prithian. Now, I didn't know about you guys, but I didn't know fairies were what they were describing here. When I think of fairies, I think of Winx Club, right? Fairies are actually not that. I don't really know how to describe them. They're just like these like mythical people with powers. And some powers are really extensive and some like don't have much. Some are creatures, some are like, it's a lot. Like this, the world of fairies is a lot, and I don't know if I'm like, I'm pretty sure people label Sarah J. Maas like the fairy like queen or whatever, because like I know she has a different series, I think the Throne of Glass series, where she also writes about fairies. I had no idea, like my knowledge of fairies was not long. Like it wasn't like known to me what fairies were until I read this series. So that's fun. Let me get into the summary. Why am I talking so much? There has been a curse on the Spring Court in this book, okay? And there's this land, Prithian, it's split up by courts, and the Spring Court is where this first book takes place. And it is ran by the High Lord Tamlin. A human girl, Farah, the main character, made the mistake of killing one of his sentries in the human world. The fairies are blocked off by a wall and the humans are on the opposite side of that wall and the courts are on the other side. Farah kills one of Tamlin's sentries, whatever the hell it's called, and due to a treaty law, he takes her and makes her stay with him in his court as punishment. But while she's there, she realizes that like while she's there for punishment, she might also be there to break a curse that has been cast on his land. That's all I can really say about the first book. That's all I can really say about the series in general, because after this first book, a lot of shit happens, and I can't really tell you that without spoiling the ending of this one. So yeah, you're gonna have to just like take my summary for this, because I'm not explaining the summaries of the rest. Okay, I gave this book a 4.5, not 4.5, a 4 out of 5. I like that it was a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite Disney stories, so I like the elements of that in here. I like that you could read this and just be done with it. Like, you don't need to read the rest of the books to like feel like this is a pretty a good way to end this book. Like the conclusion will make you feel somewhat satisfied. Although there are like a little loose ends, you'll feel like you completed it without having to read the rest of the novels. And I actually really appreciated that, because I was this close to not reading the rest, because I felt I was confused. I was like, is this the end? And then I saw that there were like 4 other books in the series. So I was like, I guess not. I also bumped the score down overall because no trigger warnings for this one either. I don't know what that's about. Miss Sarah J Maas needs a trigger warning all these books, because they all talk about a lot of deep, dark, like it could be traumatic stuff if you haven't looked at the trigger warnings before reading this book. To name a few: sexual assault, a lot of violence, abuse, death. You need to read the trigger warnings before reading this book. Take my word for it. Next, A Court of Mist and Fury, the famous, most popular, probably arguably, of this book series. This damn book took me on a journey. I have a lot of thoughts on this damn book. Okay, so I like I said, I'm not going to explain the summaries of all these books. Okay, I'm not going to explain the summary for each of the ACOTAR novels, but this one is definitely one of my favorites. Like, it's definitely up there in terms of like my book ranking in this series. I knew it was gonna be, because everyone hyped this book up to the max. Like, everyone's like, oh my god, ACOMAF, it's the best thing in the world, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And I said, y'all sound absolutely insane. And then I read it and I was like, oh, okay, I get it, okay, I'm here, I get it, I understand. Yeah, I didn't realize this until I finished it. This is a Hades and Persephone's retelling, and I could tell, but I didn't catch it until literally the very end of the book, after I went on Tumblr and I looked up fan art, and people on Tumblr were like, did you guys know this was like a Hades? And I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I rated this book a 4.5 out of 5. I liked meeting the new characters that you guys, that we meet in this book, that are with us throughout the whole entire rest of the series. The new characters in this book are amazing, great, love them. They have my heart. I want to be a part of the inner circle so bad, just an FYI. And I like how they expanded the world of Perithian. Like, it's not just the spring court. Most of this book takes place in the night court, and I thoroughly enjoyed the night court more than the spring court, in my opinion. The world in that court alone, like without even visiting the rest of the courts, the world in this one alone is really, really cool. I enjoyed it. Okay, so next, A Court of Wings and Ruin. Now, you guys already know my thoughts on this if you watch my rating vlog. I'm not going to go into depth as to what I disliked and liked. My rating for this is a 3.5 out of 5. Nothing happened much throughout a third of the book. To get to point A to point B, I get it. We need to know how they're going to handle the stuff that happens at the end of this book. I get it. Like, it's a long journey to get to point A to point B. I know. But I was thoroughly kind of bored. Like, if y'all saw my reading vlog, I was pretty confused and bored throughout most of it. A third of the book did not need to be in here. This book is 700 pages long. It could have easily been shortened to like at least 500. I don't know what Miss Sarah J Maas was thinking. I'm very confused to this day. It's been weeks. I don't understand why it's so big. Like, it's huge. I like the last part of this book a lot, because this book is split up into 3 different parts. So the last part is definitely my favorite, because a lot happens. Okay, like, the last part of this book it makes the rest worth reading to some extent. I also like the Nessian moments in this book. Y'all know I'm a hardcore Nessian shipper, so when I read this, I was like, oh, my heart was feeling heavy at some points, especially towards the end, but I love it nonetheless. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Yeah. Okay, A Court of Frost and Starlight. I gave this one a 2 out of 5. Mainly because I thought it was unnecessary. It's basically a linked-in novella to what happens between A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Silver Flames. And I guess, like, if you're into ACOTAR a lot, then you'll probably enjoy this. But I was just like, I don't know about this. Here's the thing. I feel like I would have probably ranked it higher if I waited to read this before reading A Court of Silver Flames, because I read A Silver Flames before reading this. I'm sorry. I ordered this on Amazon, so like this came in after I got A Court of Silver Flames at Target, because I couldn't resist myself. I couldn't help it. Okay, so I read A Court of Silver Flames after this, and so reading the events that happened in this book, my heart, I just couldn't take it. I feel like after reading a book in Nessa's point of view, reading a whole entire book in Farrah's again and Rhysand's, I was like, eh. Okay, I will say though, I did like how this book was in multiple point of views though. Like, we got a point of view from all of the characters except for Azrael and Elaine. I don't know what that's about. I would have enjoyed Azrael's point of view. I've been curious about that man since day one. Other than that, I just feel like a lot of it was unnecessary. It was a whole lot of filler. It was a whole lot of happy, like, hey, we're so happy after what all the shit happened in the Wings of Ruin. We're gonna give you this happy book and you're just gonna have to like it until we finish A Court of Silver Flames. It's cute, it's fun, but it's overall. 2 out of 5. Final one. Let's get into it, guys. Bad bitch. This right here, this is the main character that I wanted. I'm a Nesta stan, so before y'all come y'all are gonna come at me for saying this is my favorite book in ACOTAR. I already know. Nesta's my favorite character though, so I don't really know what you want me to say about that. When I read that this book is gonna be in Nesta's point of view, I swear, like, I was reading through Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Frost and Starlight just to get to this book, because I've loved Nesta since the beginning. Okay, not since like the beginning when she was like not that great. Like in the first book when you're introduced to Nesta, she's not that great. Okay, I get it. But in A Court of Mist and Fury, I don't know, something shifted. She was great. I loved her. And yeah. And y'all know I love Nessian, so this for me was everything. I got through half of this book. Do you see how thick this book is? I got through it in I think 2 days. I got through half of it in the first day I read it. Yeah, I couldn't put it down. Nesta is just such a complex character. Oh, if you guys don't know, Nesta is the sister of Farah. Farah is the youngest sister out of 2 of her other sisters, Elaine and Nesta. Nesta is the oldest of the sisters, and she has a lot of baggage, okay? Throughout this whole entire series, she's probably one of the most hated characters of all time. Everyone hates her, and a lot of people, because okay, let me calm down. I feel like because a lot of people hate Nesta, they also hate this book, but like from an objective standpoint, I don't get it, because once you get into the head of Nesta, I don't understand how you can still hate her. Even after everything that happened to her in Akamath, I was like, okay, I don't really hate her. I gave my feelings about Nesta in my reading vlog. Again, check it out. But yeah, I knew as soon as I got this book I was gonna like it because it was from Nesta's point of view and Cassian's. I think Cassian is a great character. I feel like reading from his point of view is so easy. Like I could hear his voice in my head. Like understanding his thoughts wasn't that hard. I don't know, just everything about this book I like, and the new characters we meet, it's a lot. It's a lot. It makes me so happy. It's not even just an ACOTAR book. I feel like this is a book of just healing and self-discovery and woman empowerment, and I love it so much. Like, I don't think you understand. I want to be a Valkyrie now. Like, let me into your squad. I am not athletic, I am not fit, but I will work to be a Valkyrie. Please let me into your circle, Nesta. Please, I want to be a part of Girl Gang. Let me in. There are some parts of this book that I don't like, don't get me wrong. I feel like the plot was very not good. I feel like the plot was just there so the inner circle could have something to do and get in Nesta's business all the time. I feel like the stakes weren't high when it came to the plot or the villain. I feel like there could have been a better villain for Nesta to defeat. I feel like the actual villain in this was her mental health, like her trying to figure out her way around how she feels about herself. I think that was the true villain. Not to get deep or anything, but yeah, I don't understand how you could hate Nesta after reading this book. If you really hate her after reading this book, I feel like you have no soul. No offense, but also full offense, because this is my girl, so I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear anything. Objectively, I don't know how to rate this. Like, in my heart, I would rate it a 5 out of 5, but then no trigger warnings. And this book really needs trigger warnings. This book, especially from a mental health standpoint, trigger warnings are needed. So that makes it a 4 out of 5 easily. But then when you look at the lack of plot, like good plot, like it's not there. So objectively this would be a 3 out of 5, but I feel like it doesn't make sense to rate it. Like, I don't want to rate it that low. So until I find out an actual like good rating for it, I'm just gonna have to leave it unranked. It would technically be a 3 out of 5, but I don't want to rate it a 3 out of 5. I love it so much. Miss Sarah J. Maas did what she had to do in this, especially with the smutty scenes. Yeah, everyone talks about ACOTAR being an erotica, and like I was so confused because throughout reading these books I was like, there's not really that much smut in these books, so I was very confused. And then I read this book and I was like, oh, this book puts chapter 55 in Akamath to shame. The amount of those scenes in this book, yeah, Miss Sarah J. Maas, her pen was penning in those scenes. I've never read a book that goes like that. It's so many scenes. Yeah, just wanted to put that in there. She was on something else when writing those smut scenes. I was, ooh. That's the whole ACOTAR series. That's my review. I guess if you guys want me to actually do a video on ACOTAR, because I do have a lot of thoughts that I want to say, but I can't say them in this video without spoiling it for people that have not read it. So if you actually want me to make a video on it, tell me and I will. I heard that this is actually going to be like a Hulu series. Like I heard that Hulu is picking up the book series to become like an actual show. I would have preferred HBO. I feel like it won't do it justice. I feel like Hulu won't do it justice, but I don't know. I heard that through the grapevine though. I don't know if that's a confirmed thing or not. The next and final book that I'm going to be talking about is the one that a lot of people have been talking about for the past few days because it's a Netflix show. Shadow and Bone. I got Shadow and Bone literally at the beginning of April, but it did not get here until the end of April. So that means I did not start it until like literally the last day of April, and I finished it this morning. So technically this should be in my May wrap up, but I'm gonna leave it in here because I need to discuss the show sometime this month as well. So I'm gonna need to discuss the book first before discussing the show, obviously. I think the reason why it came so late was because I got the collector's edition. That's why it's so pretty. I got the collector's edition. I think it got shipped from like the UK or something, so it took a long time to get here. I got it on Book Depository if you guys are curious and actually want to get it yourself. I'm gonna be honest, I got the collector's edition because I heard that it was a bad series. I heard that this Grisha Universe trilogy is a bad series, so I was like, if I'm gonna get a bad book, I might as well get something pretty out of it. So I got the collector's edition because it's so freaking pretty. Like, look at it, it's so pretty. And like the text and stuff is, and look at, it's like the blue spray edges, it's so pretty. I just had to get it. So when as soon as it came here, I was like, my expectations were low. And then I read it and I was like, okay. I didn't start getting into it until like halfway through the book. I felt it was just kind of boring in some aspects. I don't know, I feel like some aspects were rushed, and I feel like the world building wasn't really that well done. I was kind of confused at some points. Yeah, I feel like this book, it was just kind of boring and it lacked in a lot of areas in terms of world building. Maybe it was because I was really tired by the time I read this. I was doing a lot of final stuff, so by the time I actually started this book, it was on Friday. I was very tired. It was a lot. You're basically getting jumped into this world with barely little to no explaining, and you're kind of just gonna have to read through it and understand it at your own pace. I didn't really enjoy it all that much, literally until the middle, until things started like actually happening. I was like, okay, that's cool. If you guys don't know what this story is, it's basically centered on Alina. She is an orphan and now a soldier, and she makes her way across the Shadowfold. It's the most dangerous place in the land of Rothko, which is where all these people are. It's like the nation that this world is in. The Shadowfold is a place where no one really crosses because they know that they will not live, because these creatures called the Valkyra basically eat the people up that go into the Shadowfold. And Elena is set to make her way across it with her bestie Mal. Basically, when she crosses the Shadowfold, she realizes that she has some power, and like she gets taken by the royal people and to train and figure out her power to save the human race. But then she realizes that her power might be used for evil and not for good. And yeah, that's the overview of the book. Basically, I gave this a 3 out of 5. It literally took me up until the halfway point to get into this book. I don't know, I feel like I don't know if it was because I couldn't get into it or maybe because of the writing. I don't know. Also, the little thing that happens like towards the end was very stupid. The ending didn't need to happen the way it did if Elena just did what she needed to do, and so that really just pissed me off. I know a lot of people don't like Elena. I feel like a lot of the hate from this book series gets placed on that Elena is a bad main character, and I completely get that to a certain extent. I don't hate her, but like I feel like she makes a lot of stupid decisions in this book specifically. I like the characters though. I feel like the characters were really nice. We didn't really get to see any of them other than like from like surface level, so I don't know. From what I could go off of, they seem pretty okay. Overall though, I'm definitely gonna read the series because I'm gonna have to do a show review because everyone's been talking about the series. And if you guys don't know, I do show breakdowns. Those are kind of some of my most popular stuff on my channel. And yeah, I just want to read the book before the series came out, but obviously that did not happen because my books came so late. I just ordered the sequel yesterday, so I'm gonna try to get through the series sometime after I get through not only this, not only like the Grisha universe, but like the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, the duology spin-off series. Fun fact, I watched the show, kinda. Like I watched the first episode before filming this, and I realized that it's gonna be based off of the characters in Six of Crows and in this book, and I have not read Six of Crows because I wanted to go in order and read this series before getting to the spin-off series, but I guess I'm just gonna have to like, I don't know, read both at the same time. I don't know how it's gonna work. I'm gonna try to figure out. I might watch the show before getting through all the books. It's literally 5 books, and I'm not gonna wait that long to watch an 8-episode show, so I'm just gonna have to see. Oh, also, when it comes to this book, I feel like it was really similar to ACOTAR. I literally read this right after finishing the ACOTAR series, so I feel like it was just very similar. I don't know, did y'all, for y'all that have read Shadow and Bone and the ACOTAR series, did you guys get any similarities between Rhysand and the Darkling? I felt like they were very similar characters. I feel like they're like literally one and the same. Obviously, like I don't really know how the Darkling is going to play out throughout the rest of the series because I've only read the first book, but from the way he's described, it's literally like, I don't know which book series came out, but it feels like it's like a copycat of Rhysand, and I don't know how to feel about that. That's just me though. I don't know if anyone really agrees. Also, the like calls to like, I was like, are you kidding me? If for those of you that don't know, they say that a lot in the ACOTAR series. Like literally throughout A Court of Thorns and Roses, they say a like calls to like at least 100 times throughout the book series. So when I read this on the back of this, I was like, that's suspicious. That's a little weird. Overall, 3 out of 5. I'm gonna be reading the rest of the books, and I'll give my review of those at the end of the month next month. But yeah, I don't. For now, it's just like it's average. And those are all the books I've read. This is a long video. Oh my god, sorry. Yeah, those are all the books I've read this month. Now that I'm officially out of school, I'll probably be reading a lot more. So these videos are probably gonna get long AF. I apologize in advance, but also you already know what you were clicking on before coming on here. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you'd like to recommend me other books or just talk book stuff to me, like literally have conversations with me about the books I've read, because I need more people that read to talk to me. Literally no one else is reading these series I'm reading, and I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to the void of Twitter, and no one responds. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, here you go. I mostly interact on Twitter, so yeah. But if you would like to follow me on all my other social medias, it'd be nice. They will be linked in the description below. Bye everyone.